are Umasou. When one thinks about animated films and dinosaurs, they would most likely go straight to the American ones, since they are more recognizable in pop culture. They can include the cinematic classics like the Rite of Spring segment in Walt Disney's Fantasia, and The Land Before Time with its army of direct-to-video sequels. Or they could go into some weird territory like the cartoony Pixar one that's trying to be serious, the one starring a T-Rex John Goodman and his pals in a 1990s New York City, or that 2000 Disney movie with
the Love Monkey.
However, even if the Americans can have a large dino supply, you shouldn't count out one other animation-dominated country, Japan. I mean, with all the crazy animated works they've delivered, there must have been at least one that had dinosaurs, and in this case, there is. In 2010, a movie based on the picture books by Tatsuya Miyanishi got released at the same time as a TV series and would go on to get a few more movies. So now that we're going to the Japanese Jurassic period, will the film stand tall and be grand as the dinos themselves, or would this be better used as Big Jaw Chow? Let's find out. The story. Were you coming in thinking that this is going to be a sweet and simple movie with cute-looking dinosaurs? Well, then you've seriously underestimated the power that is Umasou. If there is one thing that's impossible to maintain in the story, it's the consistency of the tone. Throughout the film, it would constantly shift itself in a whiplashing 180-degree turn from being lighthearted with some comical moments to becoming completely somber, where it's a matter of life and death, to pure sadness seeing a major development in the character's relationship, and then runs back to the start to redo the cycle.
ありがとう、お父さん。僕、お父さんみたいになりたいんだ。なれるかな、お父さんみたいに。
おい、ちびすけ。生きてるか？
死んだかな?
It doesn't help either when the film doesn't stay focused on whatever plot it wants to tell. For the first 22 minutes, it would be about the brotherhood of two kids, one a plant eater, and the other is a meat eater refusing to believe who he really is. But then quickly afterwards, it would reject all that and fabricate a whole new story where this tough T-Rex, where they are called Big Jaws here, has to take care of this baby Ankylosaurus. I get that this movie focuses a lot more on the characters, which I will get into in a second, but it feels like the film is having a hard time to tell a story when it doesn't even know what story to tell in the first place. However, despite all this, despite the confusing story and despite the tonal roller coaster, the craziest thing about this movie is that it found a way to make all this work. The biggest strength of the film is regarding its heart and the way that it focuses on the relationship between the dinosaurs, and it's kind of unexpected as well. One can be so focused on all the weird moments and feeling lost, and then suddenly, they start to have feelings for Hart and Umasou and their journey for survival. And I will give the film that even if what happened at the start doesn't get brought up for most of the movie, it does tie everything up at the end to result in some nearly tear-jerking moments. It's hard to tell where the story is even going, but it is clear that it is doing so with a lot of heart. The animation. Even if this was released back in 2010, this can visually be interpreted as the Japanese Good Dinosaur with simple cartoony dinosaurs roaming around a more detailed environment. But even before we get into the more obvious component, let's start off with the background animation. In a movie like this, it's surprising to see that there was a lot of artistry put into the Cretaceous jungle with painted like leaves, dusty canyons, and great views of Egg Mountain. Not to mention the strong use of vibrant colors seen throughout the feature that makes it feel pleasant to watch. But with that out of the way, let's bring up the one thing that really sticks out like a sore thumb, the character designs. Obviously, the animators were not going for any sort of realism in that department. In fact, some of the characters don't even look like dinosaurs in general. there are significant ones that seem like they're humans wearing cheap dino costumes. But while the cute designs are meant to evoke a welcoming feeling for children, it doesn't do any favors for the other big jaws. I mean, these guys are supposed to be menacing and ready to kill whoever comes their path. But do their bodies really say that with their more rounded features and a circle for their heads? Now, I won't go after the film too much for that, since it is based on a picture book, so I guess the one positive thing to say is that at least it does bring out that children book feeling.
だけどお前よくそれだけ背中に乗せられたな。
親切なおじいさんが手伝ってくれたんだ。
はあ？
僕は硬いのじゃなくてうまそうだよって言ったら、うまそうでも硬くて年寄りには歯が立たんようだって。これどういう意味かな?
As for the character animation, this is where it brings out the most anime feeling. While at some moments the movements are slow and stiff with a low frame rate, things would then really pick up when the scene calls for something more extravagant to really bring out the mood it wants to achieve. Also, one unique thing to point out with Umasou is that this is surprisingly more violent than most of the other animated dinosaur movies. While others would hide away from the more extreme parts with shadow hints or off-camera bullcrap, these dinos are not afraid to present their audience how they literally tear each other apart and eat the meat from the dinosaur we've seen them just killed. I guess it's perfectly fine to just throw their guts around as long as there's no blood. But I just want to say that this is not a criticism against the film. I just wanted to point this out to show an example of how weird this movie can be, where we see cute dinos killing each other mercilessly. At first, the designs will throw people off, but overall, the animation is still well done. The characters. Like I said before, the characters have a bigger impact in the film than the story itself, and the more audiences spend time with them, the more they become not only believable, but also easy to be emotionally attached to. I mean, there are so many crazy things happening in this movie that it wouldn't be hard to forget that the cast is strongly written. Let's go and start this off with the main big jaw, Heart. Raised by plant eaters, it would take him until his adulthood to ultimately accept that he eats meat and that he's not like his mother or his brother Light. However, when little Umasou comes into his life, that's when his past starts to define who he is, where he has to go and take care of the guy the same way his mother did for him. He still tries to present himself as a tough predator, but can't help to have his soft spot come out so that he can protect Umasou from any harm. Oh, and did I forget to mention that he's a martial arts expert? Speaking of Umasou, he came straight out of the egg excited and joyful. He's basically a little kid that looks up to his dad, both literally and figuratively as a role model, and doesn't want to give up on anything so that he can not only spend time with Heart, but to also make him proud. In Heart's family, there's Light, who is the quote-unquote normal brother that would grow up to help protect his herd, and the mother who vows to always take care of her kids with a kind heart and make sure that Heart can be raised to be good that would end up having a long-lasting effect on him. As for the other big jaws, they're the villains that take pride in their role of the main meat eaters of the territory and rivals of Heart for continuously screwing them over. But the big guy in the pack is the one known as Baku, who is like the leader of the big jaws with legendary strength, but would only use it when necessary and is mostly calm. In a crazy film like this, it took some time for me to accept, but yes, this movie does have some amazingly written characters. I have so many questions about this. Why is this so weird? Why is this cute and violent at the same time? Why is the tone all over the place? And why is this actually pretty good? You Are Umasou can be ultimately described as the Japanese Land Before Time. At first, it can be pretty crazy with the wildly inconsistent tone, the confusing story, and the strangely simple-looking designs, but after a while, the movie reveals itself to be very strong with a lot of heart to deliver plenty of emotional moments, some well-crafted animation, and an unforgettable group of characters. Believe it or not, this is actually a pretty good watch for everyone, but this would be a perfect fit for anybody looking for a more emotional animated feature. If you're looking for something similar to The Land Before Time or The Fox and the Hound with an anime twist, then this is the one to watch. It truly does define a film to expect the unexpected, because you never know what would happen next, or even that it would end up being this good. Hey guys, this is AniMat's. I just want to start things off by giving a huge thanks to Jazzy for her amazing support on Patreon, which allowed her to go and get this review of You Are Umasou. And this truly is a unique experience in watching this. And I think the best way to describe this would actually be the fact that this really is a tonal roller coaster, because you never know when things are going to be like really lighthearted and fun and it's all sunshine and rainbows and all that stuff, and then suddenly it would be absolutely dark. Like, one example that I can go and give out is that there was one moment where you would see this completely lighthearted, fun time where we see both Heart and Umasou. They're both training in order for Umasou to be strong, and there are a few comedic bits here and there, and on top of that, like you see on, I think it was on the top of the screen, where they would actually have a sing-along with the montage song. So it's all this completely lighthearted moment, and then right afterwards, you got this heartbreaking scene where Heart and Umasou have to break up. Like, Heart is just telling him, now you gotta go live on your own and stuff like that, and they have to separate. And then right afterwards, you see Umasou just getting completely beaten up by other T-Rexes, or Big Jaws in this case, down to the point that he was almost dead. That's the kind of tone that I'm talking about, where it fluctuates from like -5 all the way up to 11, and like back up and down again throughout that thing. And I think, honestly, it took me a while to realize how this movie would be, and it was right at the end, where I'm not going to spoil anything, but it was a really tender and heartfelt moment, where I was there almost crying, and I realized to myself, oh my god, wait, why am I almost crying? What's going on? Am I legit having an emotional attachment to this? Like, is this actually really good? Oh my god, what is even going on? I was like, it was almost freaking out, because I realized that I really was getting invested with the movie. I really was getting invested with the characters without actually really knowing. And that's when I realized that, yes, it was actually very well written. It was actually very well crafted, especially with the characters and their bond for one another, especially with the character of Heart, where they really did give a lot of depth in him and a lot of development. It's honestly really great work from Japan. So yeah, this is actually quite an amazing discovery, and I really do have to thank Jazzy for that. So with all that said, so now that we can go and calm things down and we can escape a little bit of the madness of You Are Umasou, it is now time that we shall go and move on to the animation hat. And also, I just want to start things off by saying that if you guys would like to be like Jazzy and you want to go and support my work, and also get some amazing rewards at the same time, including, but not limited to getting, seeing my videos before anyone else, that's actually a good one. All you have to do is just go to patreon.com/animat. However, if you guys would like to suggest an animated film you would like me to review and I would put onto the animation hat, then all you have to do is write me an email at animatsreviews@gmail.com. Okay, so let's go see if we can get another movie right here. So, I got two. Okay, there we go. I didn't know which one to pick, but I felt like a bigger role, so I'll go with that. So, the next review shall be... Oh, good God. Oh, no. Man, I've seen this one a while ago, but I don't know if I'm necessarily excited for this one because, like, it really does share, like, I think the best clue that I could give out is that it really does share a very, like, it shares the exact same title as another old movie. Well, not that old, but like a movie from the 90s, I believe, that I've already reviewed. But all you have to do is just put an N onto that title, and you basically got another Shrek ripoff. Oh crap, I dropped it. Okay, I got it.
Pera pera?